Joyful movement is a reframe for the concept of exercise or fitness, as that language can sometimes bring up previous associations that can create resistance or feelings that may be a mental barrier to the benefits of the activities or follow through in doing the activities. Joyful movement instead focuses on supportive ways to move your body in a way that works with it and not against it. I like to think of it simply as a way to move that feels good for me. Yes, when you break out of the concept of exercise and fitness modalities as the only or ideal means of movement, you open space for so many other ways to move your body. Movement is helpful because of the chemical benefits. Posture and shifts in poses or movement produces endorphins and dopamine, which can be restorative to the body and reduce or repair the effects of stress. An incremental approach to movement works best so that it doesn't feel like something forced, but it's more gradual. When I was starting yoga classes, I started chair yoga. It's a mostly seated form of yoga where you are using a chair as a supportive tool to help with balance and strength training. And if you have a lifestyle where you are bedbound and not yet upright, yoga nidra or restorative yoga may be a way to ease into a movement practice, as those poses are reclined and very gentle. I think it's helpful to break out of perfectionist ideals and meet yourself and your body wherever it is so that you can do a practice that is still comfortable and not something that's creating resistance or pressure. Reframing language has been so helpful for me here. Our choice of words has a lot of power and subconscious weight. So, words like exercise or fitness brought up many unpleasant associations from my past where I was pressuring myself and it felt like I was punishing myself. Just the word would connect again to that pressure. So, I wanted to do an activity where I was more inclined to do it. And in shifting to think about joyful movement, I started to think of things I was actually motivated to do. And sometimes it was a project like gardening in my yard or reorganizing my closet. And there was a reward attached to that kind of activity because I would have something at the end of the task, like flowers to admire or a closet that was easier to find things in. Activities like that were helpful for abandoning past associations and empowering myself to use my body to do or create something. And another thing that has been helpful for me was the idea of play. I bought myself a hula hoop because there was a joyful association with it for me from childhood. That was a way I could move my body and have a few laughs and just have a lighthearted experience. I had a lot of resistance to exercise before I was ready to do more traditional ways, such as the yoga classes. I'd put yoga on my vision board to keep it as a forward-facing goal for myself, but there was still some resistance coming from a place of not wanting to embarrass myself or do it wrong or draw attention to myself because I didn't have a typical yoga body. Well, first, everybody can be a yoga body, so that was just my own insecurity coming up. What I ended up doing to break through that barrier was to take a goat yoga class. It was not serious at all and more focused on all the animals being everywhere. There was goats and chickens and rabbits. It was really a lot of fun. So that was a way for me to bring more humor or lightheartedness into the experience of a yoga class to break through that pressure I was bringing into the experience. If you can find fun or joyful ways to move, especially if it's involving a hobby or interest you already have, for me that was animals, that can be supportive. Also, dance modalities like journey dance have been immensely powerful for me personally in building more confidence and respect for my body and more compassion and self-love. I highly recommend it if you have any interest in dance. It's not a choreographed form, but it's intuitively based. And it can really help release emotions and just be a transformative and healing experience, I've found. So, we all know that movement has health benefits. Chemicals like dopamine and endorphins get released in our brain when we move. But posture and poses are also ways to create those neurochemical shifts. So, if movement seems like too much, I think it's important to remember that there are ways to meet yourself wherever you are. Holding a certain pose can prompt that chemical release, and it requires a little movement. I think it's also important to recognize that sometimes those thoughts or feelings that are resisting movement may be coming from a place in the brain, the limbic system, that is simply wanting to preserve comfort or familiarity. But that part of the brain is more emotionally based and not really able to assess things that our higher brain, the intellectual part of our thinking, can qualify. It's like having a toddler make our decisions for us all the time. Sometimes a way to reel that side of the brain in and have the higher brain leading is to make the experience still comfortable and rooted in what feels good. So you're creating a bit of a compromise where you're still comfortable, but you're also doing movement. If your goal truly is to do that, and you know it would be beneficial for you to do that. Little steps can lead to those bigger steps. That's why I really encourage incremental approaches, because it helps grow in a way that is more supportive and sustainable for long-term change.